Welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Kelly Kessler, and I help high-achieving women recognize and heal from patterns of self-abandonment. In this episode, we're going to be talking about something that impacts so many of us who have this tendency to self-abandon, and that is energy. Relinquishing it to things and people that tend to drain it, that tend to disrespect it. And why do we tend to get stuck in these patterns of allowing people to take our energy away when it is such a precious asset of ours? So I'm going to share 2 ways that you can honor and protect your energy and stop allowing people and things to take it from you. Because while we can cultivate energy in our lives, it is a finite resource. There's only so much energy that we have within ourselves. And if we don't replenish it, it can get drained very quickly. And if we surround ourselves with people and things that tend to drain it, it can get drained very, very quickly. And so I want to share 2 ways that you can do this. But first, let's talk about why does this tend to happen? Why do we end up getting into situations that drain our energy? Because consciously, if we make a logical decision, we wouldn't do that. But subconsciously, there's something within us that continues to put ourselves in situations like this. So maybe you can relate to this. Have you ever said yes to something and at the time it seems like a good idea, and then the day comes when you have to honor that commitment, you go to whatever it was and you're like, why did I say yes to this? This is awful. Like, you just want to get out of there. It's draining. Maybe you're surrounded by people you really don't want to be around or doing something you really don't want to do. And you're like, I am never doing this to myself again. And then the next thing rolls up where someone asks you to do something and you find yourself saying yes again, even though deep down you really want to say no, but yet you blurt out that yes and you're like, well, I already committed, so I'll just do it just one more time. And yet this pattern continues over and over and over again. So if you're someone who tends to self-abandon, this is not uncommon to constantly say yes, spread yourself thin, do things that you really don't enjoy doing, but almost feel obligated to do. And so there tends to be this tendency to have a difficult time saying no to things. And behind that, there's a lot of subconscious beliefs that we deal with in why saying no can be really challenging. So often when we say no to things, which first of all, many of us who self-abandon would not say no because we would just self-sacrifice. But if you recognize in this moment that you want to say no, you can feel the internal resistance around it, because saying no creates this fear response in us that if I say no, then there's a consequence to this. Then they will maybe be confrontational to me. Then I will disappoint somebody. Then I'm not showing up for them the way I think they expect of me. There are so many subconscious beliefs around the decisions that we make beyond what maybe consciously makes sense to us. So for anyone who self-abandons, there is a tendency to say yes to things, even though you deeply want to say no to them. And this can become a huge energy drain when you are constantly saying yes to multiple obligations, spreading yourself thin, but yet at the same time saying, I'm fine, I'll handle it. You're the go-to person. Somehow you make it all happen. But behind the scenes, you know the self-sacrifice behind that. You know what it takes to make everything happen. And yet there becomes a standard around you where it becomes expected by others that you will continue to show up like that. And yet no one quite understands the sacrifice that you make to do that. And so this is just one example of how we continually drain our energy when we're in a cycle of self-abandonment. And so one tactic that has tremendously helped me, because I was that person for a very long time where I would spread myself extremely thin, feel completely exhausted, regret the yeses, and yet I continued to do it. And then I would have this almost like resentment towards myself of like, why do you keep doing this to yourself? And it was only when I did this that things started to change. And what that is, I started to invest in myself. I started to pour energy into myself. And this started back in 2021. I hired a coach for my business, and part of the strategy with the coaching was that there was a commitment to self-care within that. And some of the things that were involved in it were reading, it was exercise, drinking a gallon of water, self-reflection. So there were a lot of components in it. And so there became this external commitment, which for anyone who's a people pleaser is everything that you are used to. So for me, it became this external commitment initially. And so I got into this habit of every single day showing up for myself as part of the commitment to this coaching program. And what I realized throughout that process, as I committed to myself every single day for 90 days straight, and it was an accumulation of hours that I was spending on myself every day, which was very foreign to me because for so long, I would push off my own self-care to take care of everything and everyone else. So now that there was this transitionary period where I had to invest in myself, it changed something in me. And this is what I want to share with you in what that experience taught me is that when I started investing in myself, making myself a non-negotiable every single day, showing up every single day, doing the work every single day on myself, I became much more protective over my own energy because I knew the investment that I was putting into it. I knew how much energy and time I was putting into myself. And I was less willing to allow someone or something to take away from that. And so I use this example in many podcast interviews that I do, and I want to share with you today in that if you had a bank account, and in this bank account, you would deposit money every single day, and you started to see this bank account amount rise, and you were feeling really good about it, and realizing that every day you were putting money into that. And then you had somebody who wanted to withdraw the whole thing or most of it. You would put a stop to that real fast because you know that you put so much effort into building up that bank account that you would not allow somebody to drain that. We need to have that same mentality with our energy. We are often very forgiving with our energy, and we need to allow ourselves to have that mentality that we need to protect it. So by investing in yourself every single day, even if it's just 5 minutes, commit to yourself and do that consistently. By making those daily deposits, by being consistent with those daily deposits, you will have less tolerance for anyone who tries to take it away from you. So this is one huge mindset shift that I've learned in my life, that by investing in myself over and over again, making myself a non-negotiable, I automatically started allowing myself to put more boundaries up to protect my energy. It became more natural because I put so much into myself that I'm no longer willing to tolerate the things that will deplete that. So that's number one. Number two is I want you to visualize your energy like a light. So think about your internal energy. Maybe you wake up in the morning and you actually feel kind of rejuvenated. Doesn't always happen, I know, but maybe this particular morning you feel really rejuvenated. I want you to visualize what your light would be like. So most likely you'd feel like it was a little bit more vibrant if you're feeling rejuvenated. If you were feeling like you were depleted, maybe you had a really long day at work, you're feeling exhausted, your light would be dimmed. So I want you to visualize your energy like a light. And even in this moment, close your eyes. If you're driving, don't close your eyes. But if you're somewhere safe, I want you to close your eyes and just visualize your light. What intensity is your light at in this current moment? And just allow yourself to see that. Maybe it has a color to it. Maybe it's really bright. Maybe it's dim. Just visualize that. And now, when you start to commit to things by being offered to say yes or no to things, I want you to visualize your light, and I want you to visualize how that will impact your light. So maybe you have a friend who just tends to drain you. Maybe they complain about every single aspect of their life to you, and every time you leave them, you feel drained. I want you to visualize what is the impact on your light. So if you were to say yes, Would your light be intensified or would it be dimmed after that experience? And allow that to be your guiding light in making the decision as to whether you say yes or no to things. This simple strategy, by just visualizing your energy like a light, allows you to remove yourself a little bit from it, takes a little bit of the emotion out of the decision, and allows you to really anchor into the impacts of your decisions around your energy. So if you notice that your light is being dimmed by somebody, that is a sure sign that you need to start setting some boundaries. You need to start committing to things that elevate your light intensity and start saying no to things that are dimming it. So pay attention to that. Next time you have an interaction or a commitment that you have said yes to, think about your light going into it. And then when you're done with the interaction, think about your light intensity after it. And that will really be a guiding force on whether this is something that is beneficial to you or it's something that is depleting you, so that you can continue to protect your energy. So these are two things that have made a huge transition in allowing me to really honor and protect my energy. It's allowed me to anchor into myself and be protective of my own peace. And so again, to reiterate, the first one is picture your energy like a bank account. Invest in it every single day and be very protective of the withdrawals from other people to that bank account. Visualize your energy like a light. Allow yourself to see the intensity, the color of it, the vibrancy of it before you commit to something. And then notice how you visualize it after you are with someone or you do a commitment. And that will be a guiding light in how you create and make decisions from that point on. So again, I hope this helps to bring some clarity around how to honor and protect your energy without some of the complications that can often get put into that. And if you found benefit in this, please share it with somebody who maybe would really benefit from this as well. Oftentimes, many of us are struggling with our energy and have a hard time really honoring it and protecting it and getting into these same patterns of behavior. But it can be just the simplest thing to make that shift where you start to anchor yourself into a better pattern. So again, thank you so much for joining me today. I really hope this helps you move your life forward and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Rewiring Health. I hope you found our conversation both enlightening and empowering. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to Rewiring Health so that you never miss an update. Also, I would love to hear your thoughts. If you could take a moment to rate and review the show, it would mean the world to me and help others discover the power that we all have within us to create change and create the life that we truly, truly desire. Thank you so much for spending your precious time with me and sharing the energy of the show.